Hi Boaz, we have a question from Agar Miller. She's writing, Hi Boaz, can you please explain and show how to set up an electric guitar?
Okay, so I'm gonna do the setup on this Gibson. If I do it for guitar builders, they don't need me to teach them. But guitar players, maybe on a low cost, they can benefit.
Okay, let's go low tech.
Let's go low tech. Okay, so first thing is tying all the screws. Just to go on all the screws in the guitar, and you tie them. So the tuner screws. This one fine. This one loose, tying it. This one is fine.
Do we tighten it hard?
No, you don't. Not too hard, just snug, because it's going against wood, and you don't want to go hard. Also here, you don't want to go hard, but you want it to be tight. Also here. And where the plug is, of course. There's always, we forget that. Also the pickup screws, but not the one who lift the pickup.
Just the frame.
Yeah, the frame, exactly. Very gentle, because the frame is plastic and you can break it. And now, look, also the screws here, where the knobs. You want to tie them, but you don't want to tie it too tight. You just want it also snug. Yeah? You want to check that it's all tight. Now those screws, just gently. Why? Because inside there is a gear and a worm, but they don't make the gear there. They don't make the gear in the correct way, with the correct tooling, each gear at a time. They make they take a rod and they scratch it in a turning movement. So they create kind of a very long gear, and then when they cut it to slices, each slice it's a gear. So it's very much not accurate. The same thing with the worm. They make a long worm and then they cut it to pieces. Now the gear you screw into the gear where the sleeve, and the worm you attach to a knob. But there's a backlash effect, which when you tune up, it's fine. But when you go back on your note, when you tune up, it's fine. But when you go back, you have a backlash, you have a jump, and this makes the string jump. So that's a disaster, of course, but it's something we got to use to it. But in order not for you to feel it on your hand, they put washers from teflon. And if you squeeze them too much, you damage them. And those are the washers, you see? The white and the black, right here. So you want to tie this screw gently. When all the other screws, you want them snug. Of course, very important is to put oil, a drop, not to go crazy.
All the moving parts.
All the gear and worm, gear and worm. You put, and also on the washers, although they are Teflons, just put a little bit. Yeah. Those two screw not, because we need to open them later on for the setup process. Okay, this is, I think, step 1. Step 2, you take
Magnifying glass?
Yeah.
Okay, what for?
What for? You have on the guitar, on this guitar, you have plastic binding. And sometimes the plastic is separating from the wood. You don't see it, but it creates a buzz, and it's annoying, especially on acoustic guitars. Yeah. And so basically what I'm doing now is I'm checking, and I'm helping with my thumb. I open it up to see if there is a place where the plastic did not glue well or disconnect from the wood. And here it's fine. Here it's fine.
Does it matter what kind of material the binding is from?
Of course, wood will, if it was a wood binding, it will never disconnect. Never. But of course, it's much easier to do plastic binding. It's an industrial system. However, on this guitar, there's no disconnection. But if there is, it just you take a super loop, the one that is very liquidy, and you run a drop, and just hold it with your fingers, snug. The glue will penetrate in and will glue it. Yeah, hold it for a few seconds, and that's it. Yeah, of course there is a difference between plastic and wood. Wood to wood glue is it's a very strong bond, but plastic to wood it doesn't react the same, because wood with a little bit of humidity or dryness it shrink or expand, and the plastic stay the same, and that's what creates the disconnection.
I see.
But
So
wood to wood is more dynamic. Yeah.
See, the wood's moving and the plastic is not, and
Exactly.
therefore, and it's moving, it's disconnecting the glue.
Yeah.
I see.
Also, on some guitars, when you don't have binding, you can move your hands right on the edge here, and you can feel the frets. And the reason you feel the frets is because, again, the wood is shrinking and the frets doesn't. So you feel the frets. So you need to give them. Yeah. In this case, we're not gonna do it. Well, I'm doing a setup now on a Gibson.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're talking Gibson because I'm doing it on that Gibson. Okay. So after we check that and we check the screws, we now going to check the neck if it's straight. So this is a straight edge ruler. This ruler, all it is just straight, but it's very straight. And it's also very expensive, so it's pointless to use that. But a cheaper solution is to invest a few dollars on a precision steel. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you put the precision steel on the neck of the guitar, and of course you're trying to cover from fret, from the first fret till the last fret. Yeah. So on that Gibson we have 24 frets, 2 octaves, which is wonderful, and we take now leaves. But if someone doesn't have those leaves, you just take a piece of paper, thick paper and thin paper. So of course, if the thick paper is passing in,
Passing through.
it's not good. Yeah. And paper have 0.10 of centimeters and 0.409. And 0.3.5 on, okay? So that's great. You have to use a thin paper. However, if the thin paper passing in, your neck is not straight. So what we
The thin
do,
or the thick?
the thick of course,
Yes.
but we want also that the thin doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if they can invest in that,
Yeah.
but we're trying to go
Yeah,
low
low,
budget, huh?
yeah.
Okay. So what we do now, we tune the guitar. Now when the guitar is tuned, we putting it on because we have the tension that the guitarist exactly need when he's playing. It's a tuning tension, yeah. And of course, now we're checking it out and we see that it's moving. We open that compartment. and I bring a tool to move the knob.
Okay.
Basically, it's a 5/16 chuck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Okay.
know. Yeah, 5/16. We call it box, and you put it in, and you check. You turn it a little bit more.
What does it do? The truss rod. What does it do to the neck?
What it
When
does,
you turn it.
I show you. Wait. Okay, here I have here 2 truss rods. Same type of truss rod sitting inside.
Okay.
When you tie the screw, basically, you force the rod under it to bend,
Okay.
because you tie the screw and you create a force that make it bend.
I see.
When you tie the screw is on top,
Yes.
so you make it bend. But when it's upside down, you make the neck bend this way. When
Okay.
the string want to pull it this way,
Right.
you force it to bend this way.
I see.
So what we're trying to do now at this point is just getting the neck as straight as possible before we start working on the frets.
Mm.
Yeah? And for that, I'm turning the neck, and I'm trying to see when the paper is not going to reach in. Okay, look now. See? The paper doesn't move.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, now the neck is straight because the paper does not reach in on any frets. So we have a relatively straight neck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And paper everybody can have. Of course, the professionals, they have those leaves. And if we go 0.3 is the thickness of the paper. And you see it does not go in. If we go 0.2, it might go in, but that's a great tolerance yet. See, the 0.2 does not. Here it does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So I can do even more. But having the tolerance of 0.2, it's wonderful. Now the neck is straight. Under tension, the neck is straight. So next step, we can take that out, and we can take the strings off and work on the frets, which is the most important part of the setup. Okay.
So now the neck is straight.
Now the neck is straight. Yeah, but the frets are not straight. And now we go for the frets. So I'm gonna lose the string. I take off the parts. I'm lowering the pickups so they're not on my way, because I'm gonna go with the what I'm gonna do next. I will explain first. I'm taking the pickup, I'm taking the nut out. The nut is not supposed to be glued to the guitar. Some companies, they glue it, but it's not supposed to be glued. It's supposed to be snug in, and that's enough. Okay, this is a plastic nut, and of course a bone nut is more recommended. So What we're going to do next is we have the neck relatively straight, but the frets are damaged from playing, and the frets probably are not absolutely straight in parallel to each other. So we try to make them as straight as possible, and to do it we're using a block. The radius of the neck is 0.12. It's a 12 feet, but of course we need to measure it before to make sure. So for that, okay, what I brought here is different gauge of guitar neck radius. So I'm checking what is the correct radius of this guitar by putting it and see if light comes through. Now I can see that normally Gibson is 0.12, but let's just double make sure. If I put a different gauge, let's say I put this one.
Yes, we can see the light.
So 725 is not that guitar. And you see the light again?
Yeah.
It's not. 10, it's less. And 12, that's a 12.
No light.
No light, okay. So I know this neck is a 12 radius. Yeah? So you maybe, if you don't know the radius of your neck, you go to the catalog and see what the radius is.
Yeah, okay.
And then you don't need to buy them actually. Yeah. So now I take a 12-foot radius, you see? A block with a 12-foot radius.
Okay.
And I'm going to put on this block sandpaper.
How does a guitar player get one like this?
This they buy from guitar suppliers.
Guitar suppliers?
Yeah, LMI or Stu McDonald.
Okay.
And others.
Okay,
Yeah,
you can buy
anyone?
on the internet.
Yeah, just a 12-foot radius block.
Okay.
If your guitar is 12 foot. If you have a Stratocaster, it's 9.5 or 7.25. So it depends what guitar you have. You need to check out what guitar you have and get the block. It's essential for that. But the job is very simple, because what we do next is we're taking a marker and we mark each fret with a marker. And why we do that? We do that because we want to file them and make sure we get the line straight. So if one fret is lower than the other, we're gonna see a red line staying there. And when they are all shaved, when all the red is off, basically we have a parallel. Yeah. Now, if let's say you don't have the block, what you can do also, let's say if you don't have the radius block, you can always get a piece of glass, just glass, like the thicker the better, and you put on it, you glue on it the sandpaper, and you try to follow the radius of your frets. Of course, it's in a case you don't have the time or the money to get the radius block. It's a cheaper solution, but of course you need the radius block, the job will be much better. Now what we do, we take sandpaper 800
Okay.
and we glue it to the bottom of the block. And I glue it with a spray. Yeah. Just do one line. Give it 20 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, as we put the sandpaper 800 attached to the 12-foot radius, and now we go on the frets that are painted black or red, and very gently I'm moving, and you can see how the red is off. Once the red is off, that's all we're looking for. See here? On this fret the red is off, on this fret not. There's a little bit red here and here. So I try to move it again, and we can see that the red is off here. And Now the red is off totally from beginning till end, not at the edge. The edge, it was supposed to take it off, but the guy before tried to round it. The guy who did the job before, he tried to round it too much. So if I will try to get these 2 points, I will take a lot of the frets out, and I know the string is not reaching it that far on the bleed. So to do it perfect, it should be higher there, but at this point I'll leave it like that. And you see, I'm very gentle, I don't create force. And now all the frets, because the neck had a tolerance of 0.2, 0.02. So you see, I just hardly touched them and they all shaved, all the color shaved off. Now here I can see that some frets are not straight. You can see the line here is all over except that point and that point and that point, see? So I'm gonna give some extra work here. There's a little bit extra force. And now, check it out. It's off, although this is the red, but I can see that the red is slightly, it's been touched. So that's fine. And this is the last fret, it doesn't matter. I'm actually gonna leave it because it's the last fret. Yeah? Now when we see that all the red is off, basically we have one straight line on the frets. Yeah? And in order to understand the nature of the fret, look, this is a fret. This is a fret. This is the part the string is leaning on, and this is the part where it go inside the wood. Yeah?
Okay.
So if I look at the fret this way, I have a fingerboard. This is the part that go inside, and this is the part that the fret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? By filing them, we make the fret, instead of round, is flat on top because we filed that part off. Yeah? Now we want to reduce it again. Now, and that's the step we're gonna do now. Just want to explain so people understand what we're doing. It's not that necessary. I mean, if you don't have the money to buy a special file that supposed to do it, see this file, if I take the fret again, this file is reduced, and you can work on the reduce again.
I see.
The file is inside here.
Yeah.
It's a diamond file. You can also have a normal file. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
But we can't afford it.
if you can't afford that, there is a solution that I used to do in the very old days, which is taking a round stick with sandpaper and going this way. And what that does is basically touch the edge of the fret and radius it, and make it radius, and you do it. But you better don't do. If you need to do that, you better don't do it. Just keep the frets like that. But if you have this file, so you just do the part I'm doing now. And the way to do it is to paint it red again, or black, or any color you want. And you go till the complete red is off, but only red stay in the center. So I know I filed the sides. See? Here I took off the red, and on the sides there is red.
Mm-hmm.
With this file, I'm trying to take from the sides and leave it in the center, as thin as possible, without the red line separated. So again, mark it here, red, and go with the file. So I have a thin line of red stay in the middle. Yeah? Don't be happy, don't work extra on this angle. It's not necessary, because then
It's not the working area.
exactly, you just do it on the working area.
the string working area.
Yeah. Now I'm going to do it one by one, 24 times. So you can. Okay. Once we refile the fret, giving it a radius, so there's less contact for the string, we polish into each fret, so it's smooth. And you want to polish it so you don't hear that. Yeah. Now what I hear is my nail against the sandpaper scratches. Yeah. So in order to do that, we work on it with 800, if you guys remember, and now we go up to 1000. Yeah. We go up to 1000. Just take a piece, fold it. And if you have this one, it's a good idea to buy it, so you don't damage the fingerboard. Yeah, and you just work till it shines. If you don't have it, fold it one more time, so it's very small and stiff. And now I'm not touching the fingerboard, or you do it more carefully. But if you have that, however, it costs $2. It's not really an expensive thing. You just work, you take off all the lines, yeah? And then you change to a fresh. We start with that with 800, then we went to 1000 to polish the fret, and now we go to the last one, which is 1500. And it's enough in order to polish the fret. Same thing, small piece, fold it to 4. If you want to use protection, it doesn't really hurt the wood. It's almost nothing, but it does this extra polish. So when you bend the string, it's pleasure. Yeah, just pleasure. Get it totally. Fine. Next step is working on the wood, polishing it, and we can use heavy scratch remover, and right after that fine scratch remover. It doesn't really matter which company. It's not expensive if you buy it from the car industries, and you just put a little bit. Make sure you work on a cotton. Yeah. And now you start doing the fret and the fingerboard.
So you're doing it
Yeah.
anti
Cross grain direction. Yeah. Cross grain direction. And you do it. You try to press hard. Try to press hard. Yeah. And this is the heavy scratch remover. After we finish that, we go for the fine scratch remover.
It basically cleans the neck.
No, it doesn't. I'm not only cleaning the neck. I'm polishing the neck.
Yeah, polishing it.
Polishing it. Just you put a little bit each time. You spread it over your piece of fabric, and you work. And I apply pressure. Now if I put in the extra fine, see?
The same procedure.
Same thing, boring, but I'm working also on the wood, not only on the frets. Yeah. Okay, so now we see that the fingerboard is polished, shiny. The frets are smooth for the nail. There's no any noise, any distortion. Yeah. But the body, as we can see, the body is not, doesn't look good from used. So we have damages that existing because of the history of that particular guitar. But we also have a surface that is not really fine. So now we're going to clean up this surface, but clean it for real, not just take a rug and move it on. So in order to do that, we're releasing the pickups.
Okay.
I'm bringing a sandpaper, which is 1200.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I take a sponge, just a simple sponge, relatively hard, and I cut a piece here. And it's a good idea to use some water. Not necessary, but it's a good idea.
What's the purpose of the water?
To cool the sandpaper and avoid clogging. But since I'm working on so you see, just a little bit of water, and I start working on the surface. I take the pickup out. Again, water. I don't want it to drip, so I kind of do that, and I work where the pickup was. Yeah. Now, I don't want to be like sanding and sanding forever, because at one point we get off the lacquer into the wood. But it's not going to happen fast, especially on production guitars, because those guitars are not French polished. They use either nitro or polyurethane finish, and those two are so tough that you can work forever till you reach the wood. See? Now I clean it. And I move to the next. Yeah. Now, if the knob is a metal knob, take it out. If the knob is a plastic knob, don't mess with it, because they're more likely to break, and it's just not worth the headache after. So you get as close as you can. Don't drip the water. Yeah, just so it's wet. We almost finish the front, and if it's necessary, we can do it on the back. You don't do that if it's not necessary. But on this beautiful flame tiger strip maple, it's a shame not to bring the shine out. Also, it's not something you need to do every year. If you do it every couple of years, you can do it for the next century without getting to the wood. Yeah, guarantee. Because there's a lot of stuff to clean the guitar, a lot of stuff, but it doesn't really does the job. Here we're really sanding a layer, but like a micron layer, but still we do something. Yeah. So now, after we did that, I clean that, Now when it's clean, we're going back to the fine scratch mover. But since we use 1200 sandpaper, we can go to the fine scratch remover right away. See, this is the fine scratch remover. And now I'm going to do this part so we can see how sadly the shine of the guitar showing up. Now if you're a patient guy and you can do it more, it's wonderful. Of course, most guitar makers, they have a buffer that does it in a second. But even though it's not going to take you more than 5 minutes, just not. Can you see? Shine.
Like a dime.
Exactly. And again. Okay, now when we finish with the extra fine scratch remover, we take a clean napkin and we clean whatever left, the residue of the paste, the polishing paste, and that's it. The top surface is done, and that's showing respect to this beautiful piece of flame maple. Yeah, and putting the pickups frame back. And by the way, you can look, if you take the pickup out, you can see if you really have the wood inside or it's just a veneer. You can see that the flame maple is starting here and going all the way to here, and from here the mahogany. So this is 1/2 inch piece that they create this top, which is good. On cheap guitars, they will have just a fine veneer that they force it to bend it by force, and then it just look flame maple, but it's not. So in this case, you have a bottom of mahogany and the top is a flame maple. To hide the mahogany line, they painted black. Yeah, but 1/2 inch piece of flame maple, it's nice because some cheap production guitars, they have just a fine veneer. So in this case, it's a nice Gibson. Yeah. Now I'm gonna do the same as I did on the top to the back and the sides, and give this guitar a totally fresh look. And then we're going to, I think on the next video, we do the adjustment for the pickups and cleaning all the hardwares, the bridge, and then we go for the intonation, which will be the third video. But I think it took me more time to explain what I'm doing than doing it. So it's look like maybe like a tough job, but the truth is that it's not that. Yeah. If you just
I agree.
And you can just do it. It's, if you love your guitar, you can just do it, and it's not a big deal, truly. The idea is to do this with a lot of respect to the instrument. See, the rough damages that the guy had before, they're still here as scars. See, but the wood, you can see my eye. I can see my eye through the finish, which is, that's what we're trying to achieve. So I think step one, this is here, and next week you come, I do step two, and then the intonation. And if if it doesn't interest anyone, everybody asks for likes, give me a like. Don't give me a like, but if it's interesting and you want me to continue, give me a like, because if not, I don't want to waste your time and my time and the people's time. So I see that there is likes, but somehow, it's nice to see that it's a good idea to show people how to do whatever I'm doing. And of course, I hope Hagar Miller, she's happy about it. And she got answering her question. Peace and love.